being just cut off, and it already had the last step, you know, into that. Maybe I top button. I don't know, or the X. Oh, it's so good to be here. So I have this frame right there. This is Iceberg Pond Teepee. So I um was gonna finish that one. I was gonna cover it with grass this year, but instead I ended up building another whole one by the stream. So maybe I'll cover that this year. You know, if I were really into it, I could probably harvest a lot of this grass before it's too late, you know, before it rots. The snow doesn't wreck it, not until it gets wet. The snow just sticks on it and is dry. We had a lightning storm last night. I did turn on my video thing to see it last night in the night. It was probably black most of the time, but then there was lightning. So much lightning, and it was quite. The most of the storm was over by the time I thought about putting my camera there to catch it. It was pretty cool. It's amazing to be back. It's amazing that I was on the other side of the world. That yesterday I was in Korea, and the day before I was in Bali, and the day before I was in Ho Chi Minh, and the day before I was way down in the south of Vietnam. A lot of people travel and move around a lot, go exploring. Like in Bali, people would explore the whole island and they would stay in a place for 2 nights and then they would move on around the island and stay in the next place for 2 nights. So they saw the whole island or the shore of the whole island. I can see the value in that. I had gotten used to where we were after about maybe 6 days, maybe seven. And so the rest of the time, it was the same stuff over and over. So it would have been nice to move around. This noise of nature. What a good place. It's just so nice here. So I'm home now. I did it. I came home for April. And my goal is to make a basket every day. So I'll just have to get on with that. Just have to cut some willow, enough for one basket. And I'll take it up there and I'll make a basket. I like the ones with a wooden base. I've kind of gotten into making them now. A base is so important. You know, it needs to be sturdy and not fall apart. It needs to be big enough to support the basket. Yeah, I think I'll make another one with a wooden base and with a really good strong handle on it. But I don't think I'm going to take any of the the forked willow up to the house and expect to trim it there because that doesn't work. I'm thinking the shape of the teepee is it's not going to give a lot of shade in there. It would be better if there was a more flat area that sticks out from there. That would be much better. Not sure how to support it. I could lash willow around the top really well and then stick things straight through, or arched branches, arched cedars, so that it wouldn't be flat. If it's flat, that becomes a problem with the snow. So it'd have to, if it were arched, that would work. If I added a real good um, willow ring between those poles, you can see the top ring already, but it's not very strong up there. So if I like made it 10 thick, then I could put branches sticking out so they could arch over. I went out to eat today. I went to a cafe. It was a restaurant where you could also have a drink. They're usually pretty full, but there was enough room for us, and we weren't in the way of anyone else coming. So it was very nice to go there, and while I was there, I worked on importing this vehicle. My sister is giving me her car because she no longer likes the Maker. And so I'm going to go down to San Francisco and drive it home. But I have to have all my ducks in a row before I do that, or else I'll just be a mess. So I have to import it. So she's going to take it, schedule it to go down there to get fixed so that it's worthy to go in Canada. You have to have running lights, which are lights that come on whenever the vehicle's on, front lights. That's one thing. And then another thing is, I think it already has you squeeze the handle to make the brights come on. I think that's already there. And you have to add to the dash, you have to add kilometers. The kilometers have to be in big numbers, and the miles will be in small ones on the inside. And the odometer has to be changed so it has kilometers and not miles. I think that I think that might be all that needs to be done, and it's only a couple $100 to do it, so it shouldn't be a big thing. But importing a car, you have to pay the book value. You're taxed on the book value when you. So I'll have to pay quite a lot to for taxes when I get the plates. I'm not sure when I pay that. Maybe there's this form online for RIV, something about imported vehicle, registering a imported vehicle. It's 5 years old, which is good, so it's not new, so I won't be taxed on the full price, just the used price, which is a lot more than I would ever. Anyway, this is quite, I'm determined to make this happen because this is the sort of thing that I would jump at and then it would fall through and I would just lose interest and no, I'm not going to do that. It's too much. I'm not going to spend money on anything. But I'm determined that I'm going to actually go through with this. That I'm going to fly to San Francisco. It's only a couple $100 to fly to San Francisco. Imagine. Well, I'm going to fly down there and then I'll drive her car back. So I'll have to have it. All that work has to be done ahead of time. It doesn't have to be. You can do it in Canada, but you have to pay the taxes at the border when you bring it in. So I'll do that. I don't have too many cars. I already have too many cars. We got that one, the clunker. We got everything on it fixed. And then I went to drive it home and the transmission was ruined and it would only go in first gear. All the way home from Ottawa. It took me hours to come home. Many hours, like 6 hours to do a commute. I mean, what is usually very short, commute. Anyway, so that car, which pulls our trailer, is no good anymore, but I need a car to pull the trailer. And I don't want to, we have to get rid of some cars now. We had bought this Mazda to replace the Toyota, the Matrix, when the Matrix died. We got that, yeah, we got the Mazda. But then I needed a car for me that I could drive because the other car was, well, the Mazda was okay, but it was so low to the ground that I couldn't do any of the stuff I want to do. It's too low to the ground. I didn't think it out very thoroughly when I got that. So that's all fixed up. Everything on it is good. So that could be traded in or sold. But now we just spend all this money on getting the other car fixed. The because I don't want to tow with my red car because it's such a great car and it's so old. The Matrix, they don't make them anymore. It's like a 2006, 2006, but it had really low mileage and I don't want to wreck it. I don't want to put a, a hitch on it because I don't want to wreck it. That's why I fixed up the clunker, but then so the Mazda can go, I think. And we'll have my sister's car and the red car. And then the clunker will, I guess we have to ditch the clunker after just spending all that money to have everything done on it. Maybe we could get another Toyota Corolla. It's not rusty or anything and have all these parts that are brand new, have them shifted over to that car if those things don't work. If it's got a good enough transmission. I shouldn't have done it. But I just thought I would, so I wasted a lot of money. We could get another transmission in it, but you see, then I don't want to buy a refurbished transmission. They're thousands of dollars. What about just getting a transmission from the wrecker? But you don't know if it works or not until they put it in, and then it's a little bit too late. I think. I don't know if they can find out if it works. You'd have to be able to turn the car on. The used car, the what if we could find a used Toyota Corolla that's just good enough for parts and buy it just to get the transmission, buy it for, $500 or something. If the transmission still works, then perhaps they could put that transmission in the other car and I would have a car for towing. That's an interesting idea. I hadn't thought of that. We'd have that car for towing, and then we could sell the Mazda, and we would have the red car and the new car, or the used car. I can't believe that I'm even, like, what do we need so many cars for? And only one person, well, we're two people. If Daniel comes back, however, it would be nice if they had the Mazda. But it's so expensive for them. Not expensive, it's so, they're used to driving a motorcycle not a yeah, not a motorbike, not a motorcycle, but a motorbike, a little one, a scooter. That's what everybody in Asia drives, or in Bali and in Vietnam. And that's really convenient for them, and they're really good at it. But a car is a whole different ballgame. And over here, the fastest you go with a bike is probably 60 kilometers an hour. But here, it's like 120 kilometers an hour when you're on the highway. And so, or at least 100 everywhere. So that would be too scary, I think. It would be, I don't know. So anyway, that's the idea, that they would come back and they would have the Matrix, which is now in perfect shape for them. They're only coming back when they get jobs. When they get jobs in Canada, then they're going to come back. But until then, they're going to stay over there and live ultra cheap in the meantime while they apply for jobs and go through all these interviews. It was so nice to be with them. It was so nice. I just love them so much. They're so good to me. And they're such wonderful people. And they're just, it's wonderful to have family. So grateful to have a family. Look, I have 2 viewers and 2 thumbs ups. Bless your heart. Anybody talk? No. Anyway, yesterday I got home about 3. And so it was like 68 hours from home to home. And I slept from 3 at night, 3 in the afternoon until 3 in the morning. But I often get up early like that. So I got up. Oh, now that I'm talking about it, I have to stay awake till 7 tonight. As long as I'm awake till 7 or 8, then I'm on this schedule. So I took a couple of caffeine pills throughout the day, a half this morning and then a quarter later on. So I'm doing fine. And then I'll be done with the jet lag, I think. And my family, Daniel and Anna, I'll only be able to talk to them at the ends of the corners of the day, at waking up and going to sleep time. I'm curious where they are. I'm curious. They've got a place. I don't know if they just rented a room somewhere or what exactly they've got. And they're about an hour away from their own land. They bought some land. And it's got coffee beans on it, or coffee. And it's going to be the best coffee ever, right? Because it's from Vietnam. I don't drink coffee, but it's really good coffee over there, from what I gather. So maybe they can harvest their coffee and bring it back to Canada and sell it, or whatever. But right now it's being worked by a farmer. So they can plant things like banana plants and coconut trees, and they can plant stuff, and then when they go back next year, they'll be much bigger, and they will have, well, I think a banana plant takes a year to give a banana, but by then there's 4 plants that have grown up, and that by the time you cut down the first plant, which is as soon as you've harvested the banana, then you can cut it down. And as soon as you do that, you've already got two others that are ready to have bananas on them. So it's quite a wonderful process, you know. It becomes an eternal cycle. I think they should plant bananas all around the edge of the property and coconut trees, bamboo, and those things are very easy to plant. Coconuts, you know, you get old coconuts and they sprout and grow. You just have to access them. You just have to find some coconuts and just put them all around the property. I think I'll suggest to them that that is more important than moving rocks. There's a lot of rocks on the property, but the people that are farming it said that the land is very good. You just have to move the rocks out of the way when you want to plant things. I'm so proud of them. I'm so proud of them for, you know, living off the land or trying to potentially. Daniel wants to put lots of chickens on the property, but then you have to stay and take care of them. But maybe they'll be there for a long time. But if not, you know, their life over there is going to the cafe every morning. And they stay at the cafe and they work, and then they come home at lunchtime, and then the culture is to have a nap, and then do more work in the evening or in the late afternoon, like at 4. So I think that going to a cafe every day is a good idea. But I always love my property. I just want to sit here and be part of nature. Listen to that walk. Isn't that a beautiful waterfall? Look at that. I'll have to take photos of this waterfall. Such a beautiful piece of land. No matter where I go in the world, I'm always amazed at what I have to come home to. And I spend a lot of time out here, especially if I make my basket out here. You know, if I cut the stuff and make it out here, but I'll need to bring a base down and do that. It was so fun to make baskets out of coconut leaves in Vietnam. You know, that was really interesting to make that one, which had 2 rounds, and the leaves are attached every inch or so. And so they come at an angle. And then you do 2 circles like that. So these are coming up at this angle and those are coming down at this angle. And so then you just weave them through to each other. And then you make a base. They should be long enough that the base is easily woven with enough left over to tuck it in and finish your base. That was the first thing. Well, I made a square box out of coconut leaves when we were in the cafes. I did that one day. I think I made a video of that. And then I made another container, a cylinder out of that cajeput tree bark. It's a tree that looked a lot like a birch, but it had a very spongy bark, maybe half a centimeter or something, It's just like sponge. That would have been a good material for stuffing bedding. So nice out here. It's so nice to be home, to enjoy April with no bugs. All the waterfalls. There are other waterfalls. See, there's one at the other end of the pond over there is a spring. What a beautiful pond this is. And those hills. They're so well defined when the snow is still on them. It's so interesting to go explore them. I spend a lot of time exploring all these hills. I know them pretty well. They're pretty steep too. It's an esker, Esker. Look it up. They're a formation from glaciers. The glacier was a mile or more high, and it would develop a hole in it, and the water would come down, and it would deposit sand somehow. I don't know exactly how it deposited sand. As the glacier backed up, that hole backed up, and so it's out somewhere, and then it came this way, or maybe it started here and it went backwards. I don't know. Maybe it ended here. I guess so. And so it makes these they're very steep, but that would be one esker, and then they're all lined up, all along. So you end up with that hill and that one and this one, and they're all have their own little peaks and valleys beside them. And they're all made out of sand with these huge, enormous erratics, these rocks that are big as a house, big as a few houses. Depends. There's 14 of them. If you walk along back in there, you come to 14 of them. They're quite a distance between them. I do love exploring there. You've seen all those videos on that, right? Exploring the way and beyond. Those are all named way and beyond, I guess. Erratics and the waterfall. I have a lot of videos about the waterfall and the spring. It was good to go to that cafe today because it gave me a chance to sit and write about things and to get some things accomplished, like to find out more about importing this car. Well, I guess I've run out of things to say. Maybe it's time to go harvest that willow. I think so. I don't know if I can take you over there or not. I suppose I could find a place to put you. It'd be nice if I could do a little bit on this teepee here. If I could use some of the long willow that I don't want to use for a basket and just weave it in there to make a nice, firm, solid landing to be able to put branches through. I have a lot of cedar branches that would be good that are arched. Some of them, they're kind of straight and then arched at the beginning. But the arches are all different. You'd have to line them all up and find the ones that are the same. Cedar is very strong, but I'd like to shade that top so it's not just a funnel top, you know? So that it's longer and then it shades everything under it. Mostly the other side because the sun is never on this side of it, ever. So the other side is the side that would need shade, but this side would just need the rain off it. But I could probably make it a sort of a flat circular roof if I did that. And now I know how to thatch properly now that I watched them. That was fascinating. I just loved learning that. Did you see the video about that when I was in Bali? That was really interesting. Okay, well, I think I'm going to turn this off and thank you for hanging out with me by the waterfall. Bye-bye. Anybody say anything? Nobody said anything? Unbelievable. Well, you can comment later on the video. And don't forget to like and subscribe and all that. And share.